What's going on, everybody? I'm Jory Goodman, the Time Teller, and in today's episode, I'm going to be trying to answer a question that I got in one of my more recent episodes, and it's a very good one. Now, some of this is subjective. Perhaps all of this is subjective, but you come here for one guy's opinion, and that guy is unfortunately me. So I learn from you just as much as you learn from me, so please, when you hear the question, give me your own answer in the comment section, and we can kind of have an open debate there. Now, the question is, why don't big box watchmakers produce Spec-Monsters anymore? Now, I stuttered when I say Spec-Monster because the truth is, I'm starting to already think about my own criteria. What is a Spec-Monster? To answer this, we have to talk about what is affordable. Now, in one of my old episodes, one of the earliest episodes I ever made, I was talking about the gamut of wristwatches and just like how many different things you can find within different price ranges. And I suppose when we look at everything, there are Jacob & Co. watches that are like millions of dollars. So I stated that entry level could be considered $1,000 and under. I got lit up in the comment section for that. People were like, what are you talking about, $1,000? Oh, Mr. Moneybags, blah, blah, blah. No, $1,000, I mean, especially in this economy, is a lot of money. But when we're taking a look at everything the watch market has to offer, $1,000 and below could be considered entry level. Again, this is subjective. Everyone has different spending abilities and different spending habits. I think to be a spec monster, again, this is my own criteria, this is a ratio of favorable specs to the price you pay, right? So you're getting really interesting, good complication, great specs, impressive build quality, nice finishing, yada, yada, yada. And you compare that to the price you pay, and the ratio is favorable in some way. Now, me even saying favorable is subjective, right? Because beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and what people value changes, it is what it is. My own criteria is that a spec monster has to be well under $1,000 and ideally under the $500 mark. And the sad thing is, when I started here on YouTube as the Time Teller, I saw a lot of spec monsters offered from big box brands such as Seiko. Seiko was giving us crazy watches with really interesting features, impressive build qualities, ISO ratings, things like that for, well under $500. I mean, the SKX, people complain that you can't hack it, but I mean, dude, that's the only thing you can say badly against. I mean, I'm here before everyone's gonna be blasting me saying, oh, the misaligned chaptering, Okay, the Seiko SKX does not get enough credit. It's an ISO rated, legit dive watch with a 200 meter water resistance rating, crazy loom, day-date complication, in-house movement. It's like the quintessential tool watch, and you would get it for like $100, or excuse me, sorry, $200. I was gonna say $199 because you could find it under $200 on Amazon. It was a very impressive watch, especially for its time. You can't get that anymore. I also just realized I haven't told the time yet, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that. It is 1:35 p.m. Let's get down to business. Okay, so why don't big box brands make spec monsters anymore? Well, I think that there are a few reasons why. Now, I'm no expert economist, but I am Jewish, and according to most conspiracy theories, we control the banking system, so I am pulling strings. Jokes aside, I think the first issue when it comes to big box brands not producing spec monsters is the economy itself, right? The economy is not great. Inflation has been going crazy in the last couple years, and I think that costs are up in pretty much every industry. So companies are finding it to be a little bit more difficult to add value without taking a big ding in their bottom line. So I think, these watchmakers are businesses at the end of the day, and they have to make money, and they have to, keep producing big profits. And when their profit margins are encroached upon, they have to make cuts somewhere. And I think, unfortunately, their bottom line is, being encroached upon too much when they're offering too much for not a lot of money. So I think we can explain that away just immediately, that costs are up and it's difficult to provide value without charging for it. Furthermore, speaking of being profitable, I think brands like Seiko realize that they can easily undercut themselves and make a ton more money. What do I mean by that? Because typically when something is undercut, it means they are lowering the price. Well, let me explain. Take a look at Seiko 5, okay? So the Seiko 5 Sport line was Seiko's entry-level catalog for a very long time. You still could find very, very impressive watches up until around 2018. They started making certain shifts, and I was paying attention to that, and I was calling it out at the time here on YouTube, and people were saying that I was just looking for things to complain about. I didn't understand that comment because I love Seiko, and I was like the #1 Seiko fanboy back then, so it's not like I was looking for something to complain about, I just saw something coming down the line. And so what Seiko has done now and started to do back then was realize that, hey, we're offering crazy amounts of watch for not a lot of money, and so what we should do is kind of detune our watches, or I should say neuter them. That's what I like to call. I mean, the SKX and the 5KX is a perfect example. They detuned the Seiko SKX, gave it a non-threaded crown, took away the ISO rating, and they made a bunch of different, collaboration type things that would make people think it's some added value. Like, oh, we have a Street Fighter version, we have a Naruto version, we have, just random versions. And so people think, wow, this is a whole lot of watch. But in reality, it's a lot less watch than you used to get. You just get a cartoon character on the dial. But they offer these detuned, neutered watches at an entry-level price point, and you're kind of forgetting that what they're doing is taking these other watches like the Alpinist. Oh man, the Sarbo 17, you used to be able to get it for like $350 brand new. Yeah, we're discontinuing that, and then we're upping it at like the $750 range, and anything with a Prospex logo now is around $1,000 or above. Anything cool that you would want is going to be limited edition, and again, exclusively $1,000 and above. So what they're doing is undercutting themselves by offering worse watches at a low price point and selling a huge amount of them, working the volume model while doing a limited edition route on the higher end and getting people to clamor for those, and they're upping the price tag. So this way, they are not spending a ton of money giving us Spec-Monsters anymore. They're just giving us neutered versions of watches that we liked. And then when they do give us cool things, they're making them limited and much more expensive. Excuse me. So I think those are the two main reasons that Spec-Monsters do not exist within the big box brand of watchmakers. However, the good thing, and again, I'm biased, I'm Microbrand Monday on this channel. A large portion of the stuff I film are from Microbrands, but I think the great thing is that we do have things called microbrands. We do have these more independent watchmakers that are willing to take risks, that are willing to offer us some crazy, interesting, unique things for a lot less money than Seiko would offer us. So yeah, I think that's not to be dramatic, but kind of a godsend in the collector community right now, because people do want very functional, interesting, complicated watches, but they don't want to be spending, $1,000 and above. Where are the Spec-Monsters? I think the biggest big box brand that is still considered maybe a Spec-Monster company would be Orient. And I know people are gonna say, well, Orient is Seiko. You're right, Orient is owned by Seiko Epson Corporation, but for all intents and purposes, they are their own brand, and I think that Orient is great. I've worked with them in the past. They've been a sponsor on this, or a sponsor of this channel, I should say. But I still think microbrands are really where you should look for the Spec Monster category. And I'm not going to name any names. I'm not, trying to shill any products here. I'm just saying that You can look at any review that I've done on Microbrand Monday, and you'll probably see some very, very impressive specs and then some pretty low price tags. And again, we get surprised here and there. We do see some that are exorbitantly expensive, and we're not sure why. But for the most part, unfortunately, and this is kind of piggybacking on that last Seiko overview I did about the SPB 409. I think we need to stop expecting these bigger box brands to give us something insane of crazy value, because I think those days are over. And someone that's smarter than me in the comment section can explain, is it the economy that went bad first and then these companies adapted, or did these companies start making these moves to make more money and save more money, and then coincidentally the economy just tanked? I don't know. Everyone has their own opinion. Someone's probably smarter than me and more educated on the topic. Let me know in the comment section below. And that's my little rant. Again, we're going back to Friday, T3 watch rants. Very excited. Love you guys. Thank you for supporting me here and on Instagram and every project that I do. I can't do any of this without you, so I love each and every one of you. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Stay happy, stay healthy, stay blessed. I'm Jory Goodman, the Time Teller, and always remember, I didn't invent time. I just tell it.